I wonder what you think about this. I think that Orthodoxy is going to very soon experience what we in the church are experiencing. 20 years ago, felt like we were on top of the bloody world. All these Protestants flooding into the church, JP2, Benedict. And now I feel like we're being sufficiently humbled. I'm embarrassed about the times I told Protestants about just how unified we are.
Right.
And I'm sorry I did that in a triumphalistic way. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think there's a unity in the church that isn't in Protestantism.
Right.
I still think that's a valid critique of Protestantism and an argument for Catholicism. But I mean, it's clear that things are difficult right now.
Yes.
And embarrassing right now. And I don't like that. I wish it wasn't the case. But I think that Orthodoxy, maybe I'm wrong, I'm just speculating, is currently undergoing what maybe we went through in the 20s, where it's got great curb appeal. You know, the tradition, the big bearded Eastern fellas dispensing wisdom. But I don't know. I think there might, what am I trying to say? Just that we only have options that aren't perfect.
Yeah.
And by perfect, I don't mean true. I just mean that would make us feel completely secure if we stick to appearances.
Yes. In many ways, my investigation of Eastern Orthodoxy has yielded that as already starting.
Tell me how.
Well, I remember when I was looking into Eastern Orthodoxy, I thought to myself, Eric, you don't want to be hoodwinked again. Like, if Catholicism is wrong, you fell over. I mean, you were like, oh, wow, this is amazing. You jumped right in, right? Well, look at what you're doing now with Orthodox. It sounds like you're about to do the same thing. Don't you want to make sure that when you get on the other side, that
you won't have buyer's
you're not
remorse?
you're not going to have issues to face. And boy, I quickly realized I was going to have issues to face just by visiting parishes, getting to know Orthodox people. It's like, oh, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to go to the OCA parish. Oh, no, don't go to OCA. What? Why? Well, this. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, can I go to the Greek Orthodox? No, I wouldn't go there because this. It's like, wait a minute. So now I got to pass Orthodox churches too to go to the right one? Why? Well, you got to go to where they hold the canons. The canons are inspired, infallible, and you got to get rebaptized. You can't just accept what these liberals are saying, where the Catholic baptism is valid. It's like, oh boy. So now I realize I'm going to have to sort of, I can't just come on board. I'm going to have to come into the captain's cabin and verify if he's driving the ship right. Kind of like what I'm doing now in the Catholic Church. And so when I started doing that, I realized, oh, wait a minute, there's a history of this. Back in the early 1900s, there was the development of a new calendar in Greece. Today we call them the new calendarists, right? Well, that's just a name. It came with a whole bunch of other things that they call ecumenism. And that hit the Orthodox Church before it hit Catholicism. It hit Catholicism like in the 50s and the 60s.
Is this what led to the old Russian believers breaking off?
No, that
was previous?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's previous. Yeah. That's another interesting one. But in any case, without going into too many details, there's just so many names, so many things that have happened. But they themselves have undergone an experience of ecumenism to the point where Orthodox were talking with Anglicans, we're talking with Catholics in a way that blurred that rigid line that the Orthodox want to see, which is outside the Orthodox Church, there is no sacraments, there is no grace, there is no salvation. Well, you had a lot of Orthodox hierarchs who were coming out saying the opposite of that. And not just like one-offs. We're talking about...
Can you give us more concrete examples if you can on the spot?
Yeah, so the Orthodox Church joined the World Council of Churches. Are you familiar with the World Council?
I've heard it. I don't know anything about it.
Well, it's analogously kind of like the United Nations. It's in the religious sphere, the World Council of Christian Churches, where, look, we've had the world wars, we've had division. Now we're in the era of technology, global communication. We need to look at this desperate brokenness of Christianity and try to try to do something to make Christianity a one identity for the world. People are looking at us and they're saying, how Christianity? Yeah, that's just as different as all the continents, you know? So the World Council of Churches was a Protestant outfit, but the Orthodox joined as members. Now, not every jurisdiction agreed to that, but there is an Orthodox contingent, and that predated Vatican II. And so they were already in the ecumenical dialogue about what do we share in common with the Anglicans, with the Protestants. Eventually, one of the big, clearest examples, and people can YouTube this too, is if you look at the Assisi Day of the prayer for peace that was called by John Paul II. Yeah, you people know it for all the Hindus and the Buddhists and all those other people who were there, but it's not often seen that members, delegates, representatives from all of the Orthodox churches came. I want to say even of Moscow. I'm certain of that. That was in 1986. Okay, so a couple decades after Vatican II, and they're there side by side.
Interesting. So if you want to impugn the Catholic Church for this particular prayer day, you're going to have to also equally impugn.
You have to, because
they were on board.
They were on board. Nobody was disciplined. There was no synoxis of bishops who got together to say, we anathematize this. Actually, there has been, but those Orthodox churches are not in the 14 autocephalous Federation of Worldwide Orthodoxy. They're called the old calendarists that have broken away from communion with the main bodies of the Orthodox Church. Though they have all kinds of anathemas to throw and launch at they call it world orthodoxy. So like today, the Sedevacantists say the Vatican II pseudo-church. You hear that from like the Diamond Brothers or whatever. Well, the Orthodox, the true canonical Orthodox, they refer to the wider body as world orthodoxy. They're the ones that have fallen victim to perennialism, ecumenism, liberalism, and all that kind of thing. And they have lots of data to show for it. The Patriarch of Constantinople today, Bartholomew, with all due respect to him, he has made public statements that are just very concerning.
Such as?
Well, with the legitimacy of Catholic Christianity. He has only made strides to make it seem as if Catholics, Pope Francis, the Vatican, that's a valid expression of Christianity. Why else would you be coming to the election of a new Pope? Why would you be joining in prayer services at the Vatican? Unless you thought this was something Christian. You see?
Yeah.
So,
what did you tell me about Ubi's Patriarch?
Well, okay. So this, as far as I know, Denny is part of the Greek Orthodox Church of America, the Archdiocese of America. And one of the things that the Greek Orthodox Church in America is dealing with is their Archbishop, L.P. De Forest, who, and again, all due respect to him, I don't want to make this seem as like an insult to attack him, but he has been involved in some very egregious situations. One in particular, which is documented, it's public, it's all over the place, is he conducted a public baptism where the two parents were well-known, famous homosexuals.
Oh, I remember seeing that photo.
Yeah.
I think.
Did he have like a doctrinal corner to defend himself with, well, the baby's not guilty for the parent? Did he said, he tried to come out and give what the conservative defense might be for that, but Orthodox were not happy about that. He's also participated, I think he celebrated the Divine Liturgy at an Anglican church in New York that's known for its LGBT support. That's also documented, pictures, journalists have talked about it. Now, does he support gay marriage? No, he'll tell you no. But he sounds very similar to.
It's sort of like James Martin.
It sounds very similar to that kind of thing, you know. You know, look, you could do your research. The people listening could do your research. I don't want to distort reality. This has just been common news now.
Yeah.
This is not like breaking news. This has been around for a long time. My Orthodox friends all tell me this is happening, but here's what they'll say. But this is okay. I mean, it's not okay, but in Orthodoxy, those are BB guns. That's a wet noodle fighting against a Navy warship of the liturgy of the whole universal apostolic fortress of Eastern Orthodoxy. This is just wet noodles. In Catholicism, you've got the Pope, who's the center of unity. When you see him doing it, that's like an utter destruction. You're sunk, right? Because of how much influence the Pope has. But it's really, in my opinion, a smokescreen. Because Orthodoxy, yes, they don't hold that there's one patriarch that, you know, has all this influence, binding influence on every other patriarch. But they do hold to the principle of you are what you commune with. So it's a little bit of a different angle to look at things. In the early church, if a bishop came out as a heretic, and then his successor was a heretic, and then his successor was a heretic, and then neighboring churches joined that heresy, but then there was Orthodox churches communing with those churches, and everybody knew about it, they would have said that's utter chaos, that there's no way. That's a contamination on all of those churches because they're all in communion with each other. So Orthodoxy doesn't hold to this isolationist ecclesiology where, well, in my little bubble, we don't do that. Yes, I'm under LP de Forest, but my priest doesn't do anything like that. We have the liturgy, we have the faith, we have the canons. But you commune with LP de Forest. You're under the Amalphorion of LP de Forest. He's in communion with these other patriarchs. They've all been tolerating Bartholomew. So in other words, it's not just an issue of, well, I've got this fortress in my isolated bubble.
Yeah.
You know, your bubble is linked with other bubbles, and that bubble is linked to other bubbles, and those bubbles are still in communion with this liberal situation. And so it may not be a defeater to Orthodoxy, but it would be, from a patristic lens, a very serious problem to just have hierarchs in communion with liberals for years, where in an era of global communication, everybody knows about it, but nothing is done about it. That's a serious issue. And so anyway, I'm not trying to say that, this is proof that Orthodoxy is wrong. I'm just saying this as a way that if you become Orthodox thinking that a Vatican II experience is impending, you don't have to think that. It's already been going on.
So it can be the case of out of the frying pan into the fire. For those who are on the ledge of Catholicism, they're disenchanted, they're frustrated with Pope Francis, they're looking for a safe option.
It could be going out of the frying pan into the fire. In most cases, they're going to feel it's not. Because the Orthodox just have a better way of maintaining at least that sense of security. But it's undeniable that when you start to get into the hierarchy, that things are far more lax than it can be claimed to be. A lot of the American converts to Orthodoxy, for example, and all credit to them. I appreciate the masculinity that the Orthodox are trying to bring back onto the scene.
Yeah.
That's much needed. But let's not pretend that characterizes all the ranks up to the top in Orthodox Christianity. And it could be, look, an Orthodox could say, look, Erick, I realize it's bad, Yeah, my bishop says that, he does that, he's a liberal. But I think that I can absorb the brunt of this and be fine because of these reasons. Okay, well then when I say that as a Catholic, just give me the credit, you know. Don't make me feel like I'm in another world where my ecclesiastical scenery is just completely abominable and yours is completely beautiful. At least admit that we're both having to come up with reasons for how to float in the chaotic waters. Then I think I get more respect from the Orthodox when we can level that way. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. Thank you. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.